All right, well, in the middle of the mural is Abbott Kinney.
Save the post office today.
Save the post office!
Yeah.
You should do this! Email, is that it? Are we relegated to email?
And I'm going to jump in one. Would you mind taking my camera? Just point that and shoot. The big.
Save the post office! Save it! Please!
Dawn.
We need it!
But you're very photogenic.
3.
Back to live action.
Sorry.
Or maybe not. I want to welcome everyone to our Venice Post Office. We're here to celebrate the 73rd birthday of this beautiful building in the center of our community. We're here to celebrate the 70th anniversary of our incredible mural that's inside this building. And I just want to say to anyone who has an idea of taking this away from us, and you know who you are, it's not gonna happen. We've formed the broadest coalition in many, many years in Venice to see and make sure that this bill, and during this time, we've had great support from our city council member, Bill Rosendahl. And I'm happy to see that he's come out to show his support in person. Bill Rosendahl.
Thank you very much. What was the most exciting moment was a photo we took that was a true collection of Venetians. There's always many issues in Venice, and there's always sometimes division on how we solve problems in Venice. But when it comes to this post office, this historic structure with the incredible mural inside, everybody is united to want to save it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right before I was about to speak, my phone rang, and it was Jim Horowitz, one of my deputies, who's right now downtown. There are 1,000 people. Robert Wright is giving the speech right now at the occupied Los Angeles event that's going on. And the occupation movement, which is filling the nation and the world, is basically people saying, come on folks, all of us matter. The 99% matters. We're the 99% here to save this post office.
Yes.
Woo! We're not occupying it, but we're going to keep our eyes on it, and we want to save it and we want to keep it. We got a lot of bright minds in Venice who have been meeting with each other. There's been some informal conversation with some very serious, powerful people who live here, who are connected with the post office. Some of you know who I'm talking about, who's been quite supportive and advising us where to go on it. Whatever we can do as a city, we will do. We've tried so far to keep it as such. We were blown off like everybody else was. I sent a letter. I've strongly talked with my colleague Janice Hahn, who's now back there. But we need to say to Henry Waxman, who is about to take over this area as part of redistricting, Henry, use your power and save the post office. Yay! Any of us who are meeting with Henry Waxman on other issues, and he is meeting with the Venetians dealing with the Santa Monica Airport, which is something else that doesn't belong here anymore. Anytime you get a chance to see Henry Waxman, who is going to need this electorate to get himself re-elected. He's been there a long time in the House of Representatives. He knows everything about how it works. In fact, he's done some incredibly good, positive leadership things with smoking and with other issues over the years. So we want him to take that same power and that same leadership in 2012 and say this historic structure must remain historic and stay here just the way it is.
Yay!
And if the post office says to itself, well, that is the location that we want to go, well, maybe there's ways in which they can work with the community for that location to serve its purposes, but at the same time preserve and keep this going. So we're in the middle of a campaign, folks. It's something that is not going to end today. This is a beginning in a public sense of the community showing it this rally that we want to save this. And I want to thank the Beachhead for its leadership on this issue, just like they've shown leadership on the internment situation the other day, where we're going to put a marker, a historic marker. Suzanne knows this, and she's played a major role too, at the corner there of Venice and Lincoln. I went to Manzanar about a month ago with 7 of those who survived that internment. And I got to tell you something, I didn't know that 110,000 Americans were rounded up, put in 10 camps of 100,000 apiece, and spent 3 years. And there were photos there of children who were in their military uniform visiting their parents there. So the fact that our people, meaning our Venetian people, were put at that corner and put in a bus and taken away, we're going to remember that historic moment. So history is important. This is important history, and that's important history. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Bill Rosendahl. And I want to reiterate, Janice Hahn has been very helpful in this too. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today, but she's written letters and made phone calls and done other things on helping us save this building. And we expect no less from Henry Waxman. While we're having this rally, please don't block the entrance to the post office. We're not trying to keep people out, we're trying to keep people in. And if you're new to this, please sign the petition over here so we can stay in contact. And we're also reaching out to Barbara Boxer and to Diane Feinstein. So anybody we can get to help, we want their help. And in Venice, as we've said, that's a very broad group. We've had people from all parts of the political spectrum, because we all care about Venice, we all care about this building, and we want to keep it. It's kind of like Apple and Microsoft getting together. But I want to introduce our next speaker, who is my neighbor. Don't see that much of him, but maybe that'll change. Mark Ryvik, Venice Stakeholders Association.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Bill, for being here. I live about 2 blocks, as Jim was saying. I live just a few doors away from Jim. I love this building. I love the mural. I love the foyer. I love the accessibility. I love the history here. And we've been engaged in a conversation with the U.S. Postal Service about what they're going to do to make sure that those aspects of the building endure and are around in the future. And we're not getting the kind of answers that give us any comfort level that these aspects of this building will be preserved for the future. And we're going to keep pressing until we get those clear assurances. We also propose that they reconsider moving over there, and that they consider moving some of the Venice carriers from there into here, since it actually has more square footage, and keep this building and sell that one, which will solve their financial problems a lot better than what they're proposing to do. And they give us a lot of bureaucratic gobbledygook back about, well, we have to keep all the carrier routes together, they've historically been that way, and we can't just break off Venice. And we're saying, times have changed, your model, economic model's not working anymore, you've got to think of things in a different way. You can save the building, you can put the Venice carriers in this building, and you can sell that. That'll help your bottom line a lot better. And so far they've ignored us, but rallies like this and the appeal that we and others in the community have brought before the Postal Regulatory Commission and other actions we're taking, we hope will slow them down. They've already backed off, took it off the market for the moment. Walt?
All right.
They told us that there's no appeal. Well, we said that's not the way we read the law, so we had our attorney file an appeal anyway. And the Postal Regulatory Commission ordered the post office to stop the sale. So it's off the market.
Yay!
We've asked Bill, and Bill has agreed that he's going to send a letter to the Postal Service saying, federal law says if you want to move these operations from here over to there, you've got to come in with your building plans. You've got to show us how you're going to bring this building up to current building codes and planning codes. And it may be that you can't put the parking on that site you want, so maybe you don't want to sell this before you resolve that question. So we're doing everything we can with the council office, with Congresswoman Hahn, with the other groups like the Beachhead, to try to keep the pressure on, to try to get them to do something different that keeps the post office the post office. Thank you again, Jim.
Yay!
Thank you, Mark, for your hard work on this. You know, this is an important issue to everybody in Venice, but it's also an important issue in a much wider area. You know, there's a whole struggle going on in this country to save these buildings. The post office wants to sell over 3,000 buildings, many of them historic like this, and to lay off 120,000 workers in the middle of a depression. What kind of sense does that make? One of the people who's come here and has been active in helping us is Adrian Fine, who's the Director of Advocacy for the Los Angeles Conservatory.
Great! Great, 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 great!
Hi everyone, I just want to lend our support from the Conservancy. We're all about keeping historic buildings vibrant in communities that care about them, places that matter, and we can't think of a better place than this. This obviously matters to Venice and we want to keep it here, so we've got our 6,500 supporters across Los Angeles and across the country that are with you and also wanting to offer their support. There's about 30 post offices in LA County that are on the chopping block right now. Not all of them are historic, but a handful are, and so we're working with communities all over to do exactly what you're trying to do, is to appeal, look for other options, keep these buildings open. They are kind of an essential ingredient of a community. If you don't have a post office in its historic building and acting very much as a community anchor, it takes away what that community is all about. So we're here to offer our support and whatever we can do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. You know, we had a rally here a few weeks ago, and there were 4 postal police here, and I'm sorry to say they got laid off.
What?
No, I don't know what happened to them. They probably don't work on Sunday, but they were on our side because they know this is their jobs that are on the block too. So there's a lot of people rooting for us on this. Just to show that it's not just men who are concerned with this issue, I want to bring up Deborah Padilla, who's Executive Director of Spark.
Yay!
So I had to go and research and write. I wanted to present something that Edward Biberman once said. I painted the oversized portrait of Abbot Kinney against a background of his vision of what Venice would be, framed in an arch with great Corinthian columns which were used in the decorations there. From the dream, the design goes to actuality. On one side, the oil wells, on the other side, the amusement park. This is factually the story of Venice, a fascinating story. I sent the sketch to Washington expecting to be answered with the letter replete with expletives and 4-letter words. To my great amazement, I got an answer saying they were crazy about the mural, to please proceed with it. I enjoyed painting that mural enormously. I found it a very exciting project. As I say, it's a painter's dream to run into that kind of rich material, which also happens to be true. Edward Biberman fell in love with the history of Venice, putting together an amazing mural about the founding of Venice. It is the center of Venice. We have a national treasure in Venice by an internationally recognized artist. The federal government has a responsibility to these public spaces with these national treasures because it was public dollars that paid for it. This mural was created for Venice to be in the public realm. Let us remember, in this day and in this age, we do have a need for the commons. The mural inside the post office was designed for the place within the architecture and the relatedness to the community for which it was painted. What we are also fighting for is that not everything public has to be privatized. Herbert Biberman, Edward's brother, was blacklisted during the McCarthy era. Now in 2011, Edward Biberman might experience the same fate. Perhaps not blacklisted, but in a sense, a whitewashing of public memory for a public artwork he so dearly loved and over all these years has become the central heartbeat of our Venice community. Public space, public memory, public money, public art. Let's keep the Venice Post Office in the public sphere for generations to come.
Thank you, Deborah. Spark, of course, has been very supportive and active in helping on this fight.